It's an irony of our modern world that the great oil fields are located in distant places, far from the heavily populated industrial centers, where most of the oil is needed. The pipeline that brings oil to where it's used are the tankers and crews of the Chevron shipping company. And the oceans are the highways they travel. The ocean holds more mystery and adventure than any novel ever written. It can be both hero and villain. The sea is awesome. It can challenge us, it can reward us, and it continually calls to us.
It's a good life. Being on a ship, sailing a ship, and being a captain of a ship, it's a good feeling.
I'm the second officer, Howard Jenkins, on the Chevron Burnaby. We're on passage from Europort in the Netherlands up to Salem-Vaux in the Shetland Islands. At present, we're in the North Sea, and remarkably calm for this time of the year, especially as we were expecting a severe gale from the north. Lady luck must be shining on us, as it's been plain sailing so far.
When it's really blowing, the ship's really rocking, you just have to keep a smile on your face and remember that this is the job and the lifestyle that you've chosen.
Chevron Shipping Company, which commands a fleet of ships bigger than the navies of most countries, is one of the largest tanker operators in the world. Its job is to move oil from producing areas to refineries and customers across every ocean on Earth.
Well, we are aboard the tanker Chevron South America, a ULCC. We are coming from Yanbu, Saudi Arabia, and we are bound to Pascagoula, Mississippi.
The Chevron fleet is the ocean-going pipeline for the Standard Oil Company of California and its subsidiaries. A pipeline that moves endlessly, crossing all latitudes and all time zones.
My job is basically one of coordination of human effort. We have over 40 people on these ships, and there is a great deal of satisfaction to be had in fusing together the efforts of these people. And as ships become more automated, we have fewer people on the ships, it becomes even more vital to have this team spirit. And I think one of the greatest satisfactions I get now is looking back on these difficult jobs, well done, and saying, maybe I had just a little bit of something to do with making things go more smoothly. I find it fun, real fun.
Before these giant tankers put to sea, It is Chevron's responsibility to make sure each ship is manned by trained officers and crews. Safety is the primary goal on every voyage. Compartments in which crude oil is stored are made safe by injecting inert gas into cargo tanks. After discharging their cargo, tanks are cleaned by a closed cycle washing system to prevent pollution. This means that everything is internal within the ship, and no oil will go overboard, and hence no risk of pollution. When they are emptied and cleaned, then tanks may be inspected. Where sailors once looked to the stars to chart their courses, they now look to artificial satellites and electronic systems to help them avoid collisions and guide them safely across the great expanses of ocean. Chart rooms stay in touch with radio transmitters scattered around the world. Communications are maintained by a satellite system which connects ships and crews with offices and homes anywhere on Earth.
Yeah. Oh, good morning. Good morning.
A giant supertanker is, in many ways, a floating community, an island self-sufficient. While the world depends on tankers, a tanker depends on the outside world for little. While the Chevron South America sails her course in the Red Sea and the Burnaby heads toward the North Sea, the tanker Louisiana approaches Morro Bay off the coast of California.
No, the procedure of loading and discharging is through a submarine hose. Chevron is concerned that there is no pollution. Chevron has always been ahead before laws or regulations were passed to prevent pollution.
If supertankers are the thoroughbreds of international shipping, the Louisiana and her sister ships are the workhorses of the Chevron fleet. These smaller tankers load and discharge crude oil along the Pacific coast to meet the energy needs of people from Mexico to the Canadian border. Crude oil is a heavy cargo. A computer calculates stress as crude is loaded and discharged. A panel in the central cargo control room tells the ship's officer the volume of oil in tanks and allows him to control the flow of oil as cargo is handled.
The Chevron crews, in my opinion, the best crews in the industry.
While these giants of the sea are often called supertankers, there is a more accurate way to describe them. Men who sail these ships refer to tankers over 300,000 tons, like the David Packard, as ULCCs, ultra-large crude carriers. Tankers between 200,000 and 300,000 tons are VLCCs, very large crude carriers. The Chevron South America is a ULCC. It is difficult to find superlatives big enough to describe her size. It takes 7 minutes to walk the deck, bow to stern. 4 football games could be played on her deck end to end. She carries enough crude to supply the energy needs of a city the size of Akron, Ohio, for half a year. The engine rooms of these giants are marvels of sophisticated technology. All a ship's engineer need do is look at a control panel to tell at a glance how systems are functioning. Maintenance and safety procedures are part of engine room routine.
I sometimes think that Chevron Shipping are in the safety business first and they bring transportation of oil second.
The Chevron Shipping Company demands that its officers take refresher courses to guarantee safety at sea. At a facility near LaGuardia Airport in New York, giant screens can simulate entry and docking at a port in Saudi Arabia or the harbor at Valdez, Alaska, under the most extreme of navigational conditions. Men who sail have always made the sea their home. The crews of a modern supertanker are no different. They spend much of their lives far from home and family.
The ship is exactly like her crew, and we consider this particular ship here our home. We want to keep it clean as our home is, and cozy and nice as our home is. We are more on board this ship than we are at home, and this is where we make our home, and this is our life. Clean, nice. It must be nice to look at also, because they're out in the open sea. That's the only thing we have to look at.
For a tanker the size of the Chevron South America, taking on stores at sea is something akin to military maneuvers. There will be provisions, of course, fresh meat, fruit and vegetables, cases of canned and dried foods, tens of thousands of pounds in all. There will be spare parts for machines and electronic gear. New movies on videotape, mail from home, a few crew changes, and sometimes a wife who has come to spend time with her husband. Life at sea is a different life. The normal pleasures are enhanced by time and place. Home can be Naples, or Brighton, or San Francisco. But coming home is the same in any language for any seafarer and his family.
We tend to enjoy life when I'm at home so much more intensely because we know the value of togetherness. It would be a very difficult job to do, certainly without the understanding and backing of both my wife and children.
Guarda mamma, guarda mamma. This is the first Christmas I've been at home in 3 years. And it's nice for me, but I think my son and my wife, they are more happy because, you know, the Christmas, the holidays are for the children. And, you know, I think Christmas is beautiful for everybody. Io intanto continuo a mettere questa qua.
San Francisco is headquarters for the Chevron Shipping Company. Chevron Shipping manages its fleet to meet a constantly changing international demand for energy, scheduling departures and arrivals, matching tankers and routes in a flexible timetable that stretches around the world. San Francisco is also a discharge port for the Chevron tanker Louisiana, which will deliver crude oil taken on at Morro Bay to the Chevron refinery at Richmond. As in any port anywhere in the world, tugs assist in docking Chevron tankers safely. Once she has discharged her cargo, the mooring master helps guide the Louisiana out to sea to resume her journey up and down the Pacific coast.
We've had some rough weather in San Francisco Bay here the last couple days. Last night we had to delay the sailing of the Chevron Louisiana because of high winds. My job as mooring master for Chevron Oil Company in San Francisco Harbor to go board our vessels and guide them in and out of port safely. Dick, let's head up for the barn.
Singapore has always been a port for ships of the sea. Today, it is one of the most important ship repair centers in the world. Chevron Shipping Company spends millions of dollars each month on the care and maintenance of its fleet. Out of the water, perched ungainly in dry dock, the immense size of a tanker is once again striking. To cover its hull takes 35 tons of paint. The hull of a ULCC, if laid flat on the ground, would cover a 10-acre field.
This is the San Francisco office. We have your orders for voyage 99. You'll be lightering approximately 500,000 barrels from the David Packard at Northwest Providence Channel. This will be lightering number 5 of 8.
supertankers sail what could be called an ocean without shores. Their loading ports are not the romantic seaport cities of novels. They are often transfer points in deep water miles from land. Since there are few ports in the United States deep enough to handle them, giant tankers must transfer their cargo to smaller ships, which then carry crude oil from the supertankers slowly steaming in deep water to refineries on land. This process is called lightering. Chevron Shipping Company chooses many of its future officers from marine academies, places as disciplined and demanding as any other university.
Okay, as you can see, there's a southbound traffic lane, right?
They come into the school knowing exactly what they want to do, and they want to go to sea. And it's the love of the sea that brings them to us. And it's the love of the sea that brings us to the academy to teach them.
Right. If you would just write down the course, and here it is right here, 174 for 3.5 miles.
It may be a long way from a port in the Persian Gulf to the waters off Alatak, Alaska, but the world's need for energy has never been a respecter of geography. Here the Alaska Standard does her work.
I don't think very many people really know that a small oil tanker like the Alaska Standard even exists. But there has to be ships this size to serve the very small communities in Alaska. You can't get a super tanker or even a medium-sized oil tanker up into these waters. The Alaska Standard goes to some places that most people have never heard of. Cold Bay, Alaska, Dutch Harbor, Alatak, Uyak, Port Graham, some of the places where very small canneries are located. Alaska is pretty much the last frontier of the United States, and the people that we meet up here in Alaska as we deliver our various oil products tend to be more of those frontier type people. Really, the frontier spirit is alive up here in Alaska.
These communities rely on the Alaska Standard because that's our only fuel supply. I think that's where the real uniqueness of the Alaska Standards come in. And as the company slogan is in Alaska, we were born on the frontier, and we've never left it.
Well, you're asking me why I am a seaman? I might say I was born a seaman. I was born in the borough of Genoa, west of Genoa, which was only a small fishing village. So in my youth, I remember only fishes, fishing boats. I was a seaman on fishing boats. Even when I was studying at the nautical school, I was a fisherman. And then I came to sea on the big ships, and now you see me here, rounding the Cape on the ULCCs like this. I was born for this trade.
The tankers and crews of the Chevron Shipping Company sail the oceans of the world to bring us the oil we need. They face the mystery and challenge of the sea, and we share the reward of their work.